There's a lot of magic with you because I don't feel like that's ending. There's no like wall that, oh yeah, I finally reached the summit of Ellen. I know who she is. I can plant my
Right.
flag in her head or something. That was weird. Ow, that might hurt. Hi, and welcome back to the Smart Couple Podcast, episode 83. My name is Jayson Gaddis. I'm your host, and I am on a mission, folks, to help you learn the class you never got in school, the class on intimate relationships. Imagine for a moment if you would have learned how to acknowledge someone after you hurt their feelings. Imagine for a minute that you learned a skill on how to listen to someone in such a way that they felt seen and understood by you. Imagine if you would have learned how to work through conflict and interpersonal adversity, and that you were seen as a leader in your peer group because you could deal with people that were fighting and arguing and disagreeing. You just had the capacity to not get blown out by that, and you had the capacity to help people see things and understand one another and reach win-win solutions. Just imagine that. Yeah. So that's what I'm here to do. And that really starts with people like you who are listening to the Smart Couple podcast and people who want to grow and develop themselves. Because if you want to be good at anything in life, as I say a lot, you're going to need to grow and take a look at yourself and your blind spots and weaknesses. So, as you know, I run the relationship school, and we are finished with our first semester, and people are having an awesome time. They're getting triggered. They're deepening into who they are. They're seeing their patterns more clearly. People are incredibly satiated. Some people are feeling really scared of this newfound skill set or being even more transparent and truthful in their lives. There's all kinds of rich, very alive experiences with the 30 or so people who are in the school. And it's just an awesome group of people that are perhaps like you, and they just feel interested in learning the art of intimacy and relationship. So I'm just happy that in our first year, people are doing really well and learning a ton. Just the other day, I talked to 4 people in one day who essentially said, I'm summing this up, but essentially said, this is my life now. This is what I live for. This is what I'm here to do, is help people with their relationship problems and challenges. I've always been good at this, and finally I have a home and a place to land, and that's what we're doing. And I just want to say to you, the listener, I am going to need a lot of help to pull this off. I want to reach 1 million young adults, and then eventually 10 million people who have been exposed to the relationship school and learning the basics of how to communicate, how to listen, how to do conflict. And it's just, it's what I'm living for. So I just want to thank you and appreciate you, the listener, for being that kind of person. And if you want to go on an adventure next year, if you consider yourself adventurous, then consider coming to the school. It's mostly virtual. We have a couple live weekends here in Boulder, Colorado. People are traveling from all over the world. So that could be you. More to come soon. In the meantime, it is solstice, the solstice time of year. And this podcast comes out on the solstice. And in our family, we like to celebrate the solstice because it's sort of a pagan holiday where we acknowledge that this is the longest night of the year, depending on where you live in the world, and the shortest day of the year. It essentially means the darkness is all around us. And the darkness is here, and it's undeniable, right? Depending on where you live. But here in Colorado, it's cold and it's dark. And it has us, the darkness invites us inside. The darkness invites me to rest, to connect with those people that I care about. And it also contrasts the light that we all hold in our hearts, that there's a flicker of light in you and in me, even during the darkest time in your life, which could be now, could have been last year. You could be entering it now. Wherever you've been, whoever you are, you have light inside of you. And the whole point of learning relationship, to me, is really coming home to who we are. It's about shining our light in the dark, dark world, or when it gets dark out, because the world is full of light and dark, and pleasure and pain. And I like warriors like you that are willing to shine their light. But when we're contracted because we don't know how to do relationship and we feel inept and insecure, it's pretty hard to shine your light, right? So I encourage you to learn the skills, learn the tools it takes to shine your light out in the world. We need people carrying that torch inside their own heart, willing to help a brother or a sister up off the ground, a friend who's hurting. Just serve someone today. Reach out to someone and be that light, right? So I just want to honor the Earth's rhythms here and the way the galaxy and the universe works. It's really, really fucking amazing to me. Woo! So happy solstice, folks, and happy holidays wherever you are. In this podcast episode, I bring on the one and only beautiful sweetheart, my wife, Ellen Bader. And Ellen is here. We're going to talk about breaking up with boring and why monogamy is seen as boring. And if you're in that camp where you're not quite getting it with monogamy and you feel flat, bored, stuck in your marriage, I think you're going to appreciate this episode, because we talk about the difference between sort of a surface level safety and security in your relationship, which leads to boredom, or the much deeper security that deals with adult attachment and how to really connect and feel like you truly have each other's backs in your relationship. Okay. So stay tuned to the end, as always, for your action step. And also, I want to talk to you about a class Ellen and I put together that describes the difference between an insecure relationship and a secure one. And it's a video class of Ellen and I teaching to our students here in Boulder at this live relationship workshop in front of about 50 people this past fall. And I want to give you access to that video. So stay tuned to the end for that as well. All right, here we go. All right, welcome back, Ellen Bader.
Thanks, Jayson.
Yeah, it's really cold here in Boulder. It's like 4 degrees out, right? We're hunkering down. And as usual, we're like, how do we record a podcast? Oh my God, we got to get a sitter. We got to squeeze in the time. It's amazing how busy we seem to be. So our sitter's with the kids and we're jamming in a little podcast action.
Yeah.
All right. So honey, we wanted to talk about, you saw this thing on this chocolate packaging called the logo. The tagline was with this, what's the company? Like Bark Thins or something?
I think so. It's a chocolate company. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the tagline?
Break up with boring.
And what happened when you saw that?
I was like, oh God, this is not reinforcing what we want people to know. Yeah, I felt, I laughed and I came to, and I was like, this is the message out there. Like, as soon as relationship things in life get boring, it's time to make a change. change it up.
Yeah, eat some sugar, guys. Go for the instant gratification.
Get a new partner.
Right.
Get a new girlfriend.
Yep.
So yeah, we just started it. I got some ideas about all of this. And so that's kind of how the podcast was born.
Fun. And so as we were talking, we began to identify like how common it is that couples, one person or perhaps the couple will make a statement like monogamy or marriage or our relationship is boring.
Right. Right. And we were talking about how, when we were younger, teens, 20s, even early 30s, marriage looked pretty boring.
It looked totally boring. I didn't see any people that were happy. So I was like, no. Dude, I don't want that.
No, we both were very agreed on that we weren't going to do that.
Yeah. And
we didn't want a boring relationship where you just kind of become roommates and are just like, oh yeah, wow.
Yeah. And so we were saying that we think it's pretty common to basically say monogamy is boring. Monogamy in some ways is so not cool anymore. And you'll hear people say, well, I'm not really built for monogamy, or my biology doesn't really work with this kind of monogamy thing.
Mm-hmm. That may be true. I mean, I feel like for some people that's not their vibe, their deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And for others, it's maybe a dodge. And then you might hear someone more in the new age scene say, well, my heart is bigger than loving just one person. Which means, I'm not meant to just be with one person. My heart is, I'm going to have multiple partners and lovers. And again, like Ellen's saying, that can really work for some people.
Yeah. I think you have to be really, really skilled at relationship to do that well. But yes, I think, we all go through phases and ideas and try things. And I think that's important to do. And then, we, I think, are just wanting to speak to the idea out there that monogamy is just ultimately boring.
Yeah.
We disagree.
Yeah. So we totally disagree because we're having a good time at monogamy.
Right.
And so what's going on here when people are talking in this way? What could be going on?
Well, there's this idea around that, once a relationship becomes, once you get married and you sort of know nobody's going anywhere, you kind of give up or check out or stop paying attention. I think that's where this feeling of boredom can start to happen, is that things become routine, things are predictable, everything's the same. You sort of know what this person likes to eat, what they like to do, how they're going to react to things. And you start to feel like, after a few years, there's nothing new to know.
Yep. And we begin to automate our partner because the human brain likes automation. We like predictability. And if you notice this, when you get a habit down in your life, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, you're conserving precious energy, having to figure everything out every day, brand new.
Yeah, and your partner is really complicated, so you're trying to make them as simple as possible. Of course, you're not trying to do that consciously. It's just what the brain does.
Right. And so we actually can confuse that for that experience of kind of boredom and complacency, let's say, for security. And security is kind of, a lot of people are talking about that right now, wanting to have a secure relationship. And I think it can get kind of lumped into that idea that it's just like secure equals boring. There's no more fun.
Yeah. And so people confuse, as Ellen's saying, the confusion gets, I think people sort of settle into what they might call a safe or just some kind of secure relationship. But what we're suggesting here is there's actually a deeper type of security that we want to mention here that is so much more complicated and beautiful and collaborative and really empowering if you can get to that type of security.
Yeah, and even full of unknowns and new experiences and vulnerability and anxiety, all kinds of things that people like when their partner's new.
Yeah, and if you, what I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, Ellen, but the more awake I am in my relationship with you, in some ways, the more dynamic it is, and also the more I need to stay on my toes. Because it's
Stay on
this.
your toes. How?
Well, it's like this. It's just elaborate. I can't pin you down as much as I'd like to try. When I'm present and available, it's much harder to automate you, you know?
Right. I think I know what you mean, like staying on your toes. I think
Yeah,
what
not
you're
in like a fear place.
yeah, like that doesn't sound that good.
Staying on my toes like a tennis player.
I know.
Agile. That's what I mean, agile.
Okay, got it. Tennis metaphor. Yeah, that idea that like we don't want to go to sleep. We kind of wake ourselves up to each other throughout the day if we can. And so that I know what you mean, that we have to that staying conscious is sort of like it's an intentional thing that we're consciously doing to pay attention to each other and see each other and be there for each other.
Yeah, it's more like a practice, right? And that's how it feels in our marriage.
Yeah, I'd say that's true.
All right, so essentially what Ellen and I are trying to say here is there's two different types of security, you could say. One is complacent automation, putting your partner in a box, and then feeling really kind of stuck and bored in your relationship. And then the other kind of security is much more complex and enriching, and it has to do with the adult attachment that we've talked about before on the podcast. And it's really the kind of collaboration that we're suggesting that you want to shoot for.
Right.
All right. And then this, that first type, when we automate our partner, it's just a sign that we've hit a ceiling on our understanding of how relationships work. And like we said, you've automated your partner. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, maybe you, the listener, don't know any different, that there's more is possible. You may not see or know that you've hit a ceiling. You might just be like, really? Is this it? Is this all there is? And that's a really good question to ask yourself, because that's your sign that you're getting closer. And we're here to suggest that, yeah, there's much more. There's way further you can go.
Right.
So remember, when you are bored in your relationship, you're probably going to be more vulnerable to exit strategies. The grass is greener, affairs, ending the relationship, creating that list in your mind of all the reasons why your partner is really not the person for you and why it's probably a better idea to leave. We're just vulnerable here. So we want to caution you there.
Right. And realizing you're bored is a sign to go towards the boredom. So before you do anything else, before you start entertaining exit strategies or wondering if monogamy makes any sense, before you start questioning all of that, all these choices you've already made, moving towards the boredom and getting curious about what you're feeling is a great sign that you're starting to waking up out of this trance, and this is positive.
Yeah, see your boredom as a symptom of your own intelligence saying, I want more. Right. Let yourself have that thought. Like, that's a very valid thought. I want more. I want more exciting. I want deeper. I want to feel more connected. That's that's just your being saying, yeah, there probably is more here.
Right.
And it probably is the possibility is there's more here with this person. It doesn't have to be with another person.
Right.
Okay, so Ellen, let's just review. We've got you could say this is about 5 steps or so.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, so starting with admitting that you're bored and getting curious about it.
Yeah, and just be honest with yourself here. Are things a little flat? Are you a little bored? And can you stay curious about that?
Mm-hmm. And then the next step is to do something, take an action, and tell your partner what's going on, what's up, talking about your own experience and taking 100% responsibility for that experience.
And that could be a statement like, honey, I'm noticing, this is really scary for me to say, but I'm noticing I feel bored in our marriage. And I'm worried that by saying that, you're going to get upset, but it's just the honest truth that I feel bored over here.
Right. Right. And then getting interested in your partner's experience and what's happening for them in the relationship, not just in response to what you're saying, but what's their experience in the relationship. Um, Trying to help both of you be curious about what might be going on here.
Yeah. And you could ask them questions like, are you bored in the relationship? Or honey, I noticed we haven't had sex in a couple of years or months, or we don't talk about anything except, politics, our jobs, the weather, sports. And all of a sudden I'm wanting more. Are you at all? Like, are you satisfied here? How's our relationship? It's like a big check-in.
Right.
And doing your best to lead with your vulnerability and not accusation there.
Right. So if you feel afraid of speaking to your partner about this or unsure of how to bring this up, one way to help yourself get a little closer to doing that is starting to really consider in your own mind all the drawbacks to staying in a boring relationship and not speaking up.
Yeah, I mean, think about the impact. Like, okay, I could, if nothing changes and everything stays the same, will I be satisfied here? And will I be nourished? And is this working for me? And chances are you're going to stumble upon a no. No, that actually doesn't work for me.
Right. 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 And chances are, be interesting to see what would be the benefits to speaking up if you feel scared to.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable that you might be afraid, and it really, without risk, there's no reward. So sometimes having the uncomfortable conversation about us and the relationship and where we're at is the very thing that just breaking the ice there can catapult you forward. Just can be a huge weight off your shoulders. And even if someone gets triggered or both of you now are in a fight, that's more interesting than whatever was happening before when you were both holding back.
It's no longer boring.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, right? I mean, when my nervous system is jacked up, that's not boring to me. So the last step is to get help. All right. If you feel in the woods, a little stuck, but you're finally naming it, you're being honest with your own self inside, you've brought it to your partner maybe, get help. Hire a couples therapist, a coach, a guide, ask trusted sources that know something about relationship. If you can get their help.
Right. I'm thinking about the feelings of excitement when you're new with someone and you don't know if you're going to be a couple or not. You don't know where you stand with that person or not, and sort of the all the novelty of being with someone new and the excitement of that if that goes on too long, it starts to not feel good. It feels like wear and tear, I think, if there's that sense of are we or aren't we, that I think is an exciting piece of the beginning with somebody. But when you deepen insecurity with someone, while you might be trading in that insecurity of are we together, are we going to be a couple or not, what I think you're getting out of it is the excitement of what are we going to do together? How are we going to travel this life together? What can we co-create together? Like, that real security has that sense of excitement and novelty in it, because when you're collaborating with another person in a deep, honest way, there's no telling where that can lead.
Yeah, I mean, when you commit to understanding this deeper level of security we're talking about here, you're opening up a giant landscape of what's possible. And you're now sailing out in the ocean together, both paddling, both collaborating, and just anything is possible that the two of you can create together, as opposed to staying on the shore, kind of looking out on the horizon at the ocean, wondering about exploring, but just staying put. That's a different type of security, right? We're talking about kind of complacency there, being on the shore, hoping for something different, or just being bored, with getting out on the water and the rapids and the waves and the storms. That's where the magic happens. And you can learn to collaborate in such a way that you're just awesome travel partners and you have each other's backs out there when things get hard.
Right. Right. And to remember that you can keep your monogamous relationship exciting and interesting and inspiring by really diving into each other and staying curious about who the other person is, who this partner is that you've chosen to do this life with. We each can keep that very, very inspired by staying awake there.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I mean, the irony here with the metaphor we're using of, like, let's say it's the ocean. Mm-hmm. It's this infinite possibility of exploring this huge ocean together, or this world together, this giant sea. And when you look in your partner's eyes, it's no different. There's this massive ocean of possibility sitting across from you. And you've just assumed that you've explored like 1/1000th of this person, that they're also this infinite exploration and adventure. And it doesn't, I'm finding with you, Ellen, it just doesn't end, that we continue to find new parts of ourselves and co-explore who we are together. And it's really, I mean, that's where there's a lot of magic with you, because I don't feel like that's ending. You know, there's no like wall that, oh yeah, I finally reached the summit of Ellen. I know who she is. You know, I can plant my flag in her head or something. That was weird. Ow, that might hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean, though, right? It's just,
yeah, we don't write each other off in that way, and that's, yeah, I think that's key.
Yeah, and by seeing, being committed to seeing and knowing you layer after layer, that in and of itself helps you, I imagine, feel secure, because you know I'm interested in you to that degree, right?
Right. It really deepens that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. So if you're going to break up with boring, definitely do that, but know that it's not your partner you're breaking up with. We're saying break up with your limiting beliefs about monogamy and long-term partnership. Break up with your own sense of complacency. Break up with the fact that you checked out somewhere along the way, and check back in. You know, really engage here and challenge yourself, push yourself.
Yeah.
How about just an intimate statement between you and I? You know, just, I appreciate you, or whatever, you know? Like, come on, Hans.
Public declarations of love. Yeah, I guess what I would say about us is that I'm impressed at how, even though I've known you for 13 years, married for 9, that I can continue to feel really vulnerable with you. That even though we've been through so much together, had 2 children and so much more, that I can still feel like I'm really on the edge of something intense when I'm sharing with you, or we're talking about something we've never talked about. I mean, that things keep coming up is amazing to me, and inspiring, and has me very engaged.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that to our marriage, honey.
Yeah.
Cool. Mm-hmm. All right, Ellen, thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, it's fun to be here.
Okay, talk soon.
Okay.
All right. What Ellen and I are trying to say here is, if you find yourself in a bored relationship, it's time to do something about it and go after a deeper, much more secure, vibrant relationship. And if you're in the resignation or frustration camp and you've tried really hard, that's not boredom. You're just in a different camp. So that's a different podcast. But if you just are a little flat, like, monogamy, is this all it is? Seriously? Then I'm guessing this was helpful. All right. Now, Ellen and I work really hard at our own relationship, and we are up against our own patterns. our history, and we continue to work through any of that because it's who we are, and it leads to us feeling not only more secure, but just more empowered in our relationship dynamic. And we enjoy our relationship a whole lot better because we're not constantly struggling, but we're also not constantly distancing, and we're not bored. Okay, so trust us, it can be done. Monogamy doesn't have to be boring. Okay, and it can be, in fact, one of the biggest, most incredible adventures of your life. I've climbed mountains, I've swam with sharks, I've sat in solitary meditation in the woods for weeks, I've hitchhiked across Alaska. I've done a lot of crazy shit in my life, and nothing remotely comes close to the adventure of facing myself in an intimate partnership. So please know that there is a world, there's a whole universe in your partner's eyes and in your own eyes and in exploring who you are alone and together. So go there, make it happen. I'm certain it's possible. I live it every day. So please do not tell me that it can't happen for you, or yeah, but not with this person. Nonsense. It can happen with anyone. We just need to know how. So learn how, right? Okay, on that note, Ellen and I have an awesome product that I want you to check out, okay, for a very small fee, called The Difference Between an Insecure Relationship and a Secure Relationship. And it's a class, essentially, that Ellen and I taught, mostly Ellen, at the Relationship School live weekend in the fall of 2016. And I think you're going to dig it. So go to jasongaddis.com/attachment if you want to check that out. And if you like listening to Ellen and I on the podcast, you can buy this product for $29, and you'll get a bunch of audio tracks if you prefer to listen to this type of class in your car on the commute or while you're working out. That way you don't have to watch the video. But if you want to watch us in the video, I think it's entertaining at times because we demonstrate visually what it looks like when one of us is pursuing the other one and the other one is pulling away. And when one of us has a tone, what happens to the other person in our body. I think it's entertaining. And then the students ask some really good questions that further clarify points and bring things into personal examples. So I think you're going to appreciate this. jasongaddis.com/attachment, just like it sounds. Okay, folks, happy solstice again. Happy holidays. Have a great new year coming up here. And I've got a couple live web classes coming up. The Smart Couple podcast is going to 2 episodes a week coming in 2017. One is going to be a Q&A, and it's just ask me anything. I take one question, I answer it. That's the episode. All right, so we will sprinkle shorter episodes throughout 2017, probably every other one. And I'm also going to do a Facebook Live and an Instagram Live, most likely for those. And that show, the Smart Couple show, live show, it's every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Okay, to tune in to the live Smart Couple show. I will answer a question. Like I said, you can ask me anything in the feed. And if you want to clarify that question, we want to kind of take a question and go really deep with it. So ideally, you're also asking questions that pertain to the question that I read in the beginning. Okay. I look forward to jamming out with you guys, and it's going to be a inspiring year. The Smart Couple book is going to come out in 2017. I'm trying to decide if I'm self-publishing or publishing with a publishing house, and I've got someone that wants to do it. But it's going to take longer to do the publishing route. So we'll see. But no, that's coming up in 2017. It might be late 2017. And I think that's about it. Okay, guys, go connect more deeply with someone you care about right now.